Welcome back to the Student Pages magazine channel. I am thrilled to have three incredibly talented artists with me today, Rob, Lawrence, and Gina from Pocket Sun. So can we start by first just telling me a bit about your background into music and how the band got together?
Yeah, so my background in music started at a really young age. I've got quite a musical family, so my parents kind of introduced me onto instruments. My sister is an amazing singer and songwriter, so I was kind of like definitely inspired by her to pick things up. I started writing songs around the age of 14. The first song I ever wrote was actually in a math exam, and then it just kind of went on from there. Been in various bands my whole life, and then Pocket Sun formed in 2018-19. Been going since then. It's had a lot of changes along the way from like the New Forest area in the UK. Yeah, I think similarly for everyone else, we've pretty much moved to Bristol from other places.
Rob, how did your journey begin?
I think a kind of similar to Gina in that my mum was a musician. She was a singer. She wrote children's music and was in bands. So that kind of naturally made me get into music. Yeah, at school I kind of played in various bands and studied jazz piano a bit, and then went to uni, did something completely different. But then when I came back to Bristol, I kind of felt that music was missing from my life a bit. So played in a few bands and then eventually found Pocket Sun about a year and a bit ago. So I'm the newest member.
Lawrence, how about yourself?
Yeah, so actually quite similar to Gina and Rob actually. I started playing music around kind of age 13, 14. I really liked a lot of the kind of old UK heavy rock and metal, Sabbath and Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd, all that kind of stuff. I started playing that on guitar, and then I remember what really sparked my interest in music. There was a school talent show. My friend Tom did a drum solo, and I didn't even know that he played drums, and it just blew my head off. And we met up and started playing music together, and then the rest is history. I've kind of played in bands ever since and studied music as well. Try and do as much as I can while staying afloat. So I try and do some production as well. But yeah, I love playing in Pocket Sun, and it's just really fun and creative and hard work.
With your new album, Mirror and Blue Light, how has that helped develop each of you individually and also helped as a team creative process?
On this album, it's quite a mix of songs over the past few years. There's some that I kind of started writing on my own as like demos, and then I'd bring them to the band and we'd all collaborate and elaborate on the song and arrange it. But there's some that we started writing all together as a band, which has given the whole album quite like a bit of a journey feel where there's quite a range of sounds.
Lawrence and Rob, do you get involved with the creative writing process itself, or are you more do you kind of deal more on the production side and the instrumental side?
It kind of changes from song to song, which is something that I actually really love about the band, because it means that we never quite know what's around the corner. The music's never just coming from a single source. It's always this kind of mixed approach that varies from song to song. So as Gina kind of started off saying, sometimes she'll just write the song and then she'll bring it to the band and we'll elaborate on it together and kind of develop the arrangement together. And then sometimes it starts from us jamming together, and then we'll take away ideas and work on them and develop them. And then sometimes it's kind of Gina will write an A section, I'll write a B section. We'll kind of construct it like that. It really varies from song to song, it keeps it really exciting. There is some overlap in our inspirations, I feel. Like we like a lot of the same stuff, but we also like quite contrasting stuff as well. And it means that we can bring in fresh ideas that maybe some of the other band members wouldn't have kind of thought of incorporating. And I think we're all very open-minded and willing to try out stuff that's crazy. So it means that there's a lot of contrast in the album, which I really love. It just feels like there's these kind of enormously bright moments and then these really deep, intimate moments, almost back to back, which is just, I find really exciting, kind of, especially from a compositional perspective.
For those who aren't familiar with your music, how would you describe your music, and what would you say it makes it stand out compared to the other genres out there?
I mean, it depends kind of what song you're listening to. We were actually having this problem yesterday, weren't we, Gina? We were trying to find like a tagline for the album.
I guess an umbrella term would be like alternative pop,
Yeah.
but we also sometimes kind of use psychedelic soul, and well, it's bits of jazz.
Kind of experiment with a lot of different styles and inspirations, but one thing that I really like is that there always seems to be this kind of golden thread through the music, which comes from that kind of psychedelic soul and 70s soul kind of sound. We all really like that. I think there's a lot of overlap in our taste in that kind of era, and especially the kind of 70s fusion, Herbie Hancock. That kind of provides that kind of harmonic and compositional foundation of the music, kind of acts as a kind of golden thread, even though on kind of surface level it might seem like we're kind of playing with things that are a lot more contrasting stylistically.
The 70s influence playing a big part in your actual within your music, and how the sounds ultimately are produced. Are there any specific artists that would you could highlight are a key to honing that sound that you're looking to create?
I think there's one that would definitely cover everything would be Stevie Wonder, but Gina, I'm sure you've got others.
Well, sometimes we reference like Marvin Gaye and Shaggy Otis from that kind of psychedelic soul era. But there's also some modern bands that have a similar kind of 70s inspired sound, like Mildlife.
Pearl and the Oysters.
I feel like there's a lot of music coming from Japan with that kind of sound as well.
Now that the album is released, are there any plans to take your music on tour, either regionally or nationally?
It's definitely something we're like pushing towards to try and do. This year we've been trying to, with our manager, find this like suitable people that might take us on to, so that we could do a support tour potentially. And I think we're just kind of gearing up a lot so that next year we've got like a really good like proposition for venues and promoters, so they know exactly what they're going to get, and they really want to like book us. And that kind of starts with our album launch show in a few weeks. This is something we're like putting a lot of effort in to make a really memorable night, with like a whole set design, lots of guest performers, hopefully just a really tight, fun show to be part of. So that's also going to be filmed, so that's something that we can hopefully use to take us to that next level of gigging. So yeah, lots in the work. These sort of things do come up, chance and luck comes into it a bit. So we're just trying to put ourselves in the best position so that we can take the chances when they come, really.
As Rob kind of detailed, we alongside the album, so we've been developing the album and the kind of ecosystem around it visually and all that stuff. But in parallel, we've also been developing our live show. So just getting it really refined, testing out different set lists on different audiences, and then also kind of developing it in what we like to think of more original ways as well. So Gina has created animations for every song. So we have a visual representation of the songs throughout the set list. And also Gina and I made a scent called Memory Lane, which we are diffusing at gigs to try and add a kind of another sensory level to the show. So that's something that we'll be doing on our album launch as well, which is on the 7th of September in Bristol. It's been about kind of the album's been running in one lane, and then in the other lane we've been just developing the live show, getting it better and better and better. And our hope is that when the album comes out, that we can use that as a kind of springboard to develop our audience, and then take the show that we've kind of developed on the road and kind of take that to audiences as far as and as wide as promoters and bookers will allow us to do.
So this will be taking place in Bristol on the 7th of September.
The venue is the Jam Jar in Bristol. Timings, I don't know if we've actually fully confirmed that. Post that on our socials closer to the time. A really amazing support artist as well called James Storm.
Is there anything that where you look back now, you would look at telling yourself to do something differently, or something that you would ultimately change to help you get ahead on your journey to where you are now?
I think that your social circles are probably the most important thing in your life at that time. I think that when I was a student who wasn't necessarily academically inclined, surrounding myself with people who were, and kind of doing like essay writing sessions where we'd all get together and order food and open a bottle of wine and all write together, just stuff like that was absolutely invaluable, because the people who I was living with weren't like that, and I could have very easily gone the other way. So kind of actively engaging with other social groups who aligned with my values was absolutely crucial to me in terms of my like personal development at that time, and something that I would definitely encourage myself to do more of, not only in the past but also now as well. I think it's something you've got to keep an eye on, because it's really easy to slip into kind of social circles that even if they're not inherently like bad, I think they can move you in ways that you don't want to.
Everyone's journey is different, and you're doing your sound and your style, and as you go on you feel a bit wiser to it, and if you can just use it as a fire to progress even further rather than let it get you down.
Looking forward, now we've got the show coming up on the 7th of September in Bristol at Jam Jar. So in addition to that, what else can we look forward to in the next few months? Is there anything you could share with us for the listeners that you have in the works?
So the album comes out on the 28th of August. It's our first release on vinyl. So we're really excited about that.
Yeah, being delivered next week. And new T-shirts that Gina has designed as well. Gina's designed some incredible T-shirts to go hand in hand with the album artwork. Because Gina does all the artwork. Well, certainly for this album, so the 4 singles and the album artwork, Gina did all of it herself, which is incredible. And also on top of that, also designed the T-shirts as well. So everything's that's what I meant when I said ecosystem. I meant kind of Gina's visual ecosystem.
Gina. Ecosystem.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. It's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you all. The album's out on the 28th of August, so make sure you check on the link below. More importantly, just I wish you guys all the best for the future. I hope your show goes tremendously well and just propels you further and further into the atmosphere of everything that you guys wish and dream for.
Thank you so much. It's really nice to speak to you, and thank you so much for having us.